most people see it almost as one of their life-changing experiences. And because once you're in a dream, you just marvel at how real the dream is. You know this is your dream, but the floor you walk on feels real. The wall of stone feels like real stone. Hi everyone, this is Machiel Klerk and this is your superior self.
Dream incubation. That's the first time I've ever heard of that. I've heard of dream guidance, but dream incubation, that's the first time for me. This is going to be a treat. I really enjoyed your book, Dream Guidance, Connecting to the Soul Through Dream Incubation. How did you come about this work?
Well, thank you. It's great to be here, Trey. And I've got really interested in dreams in my early 20s. I was stuck in my life. I, by chance, stumbled upon the works of Carl Jung that opened me up to the world of dream and its inhabitants. And it helped me to reconnect with myself, with my sense of purpose. And so I always stayed connected to dreams. And in my explorations, on a certain moment, I start learning that dreams do very often come spontaneously to a person to help and support, but you can also proactively ask the dream for support and guidance. And I studied that and then wrote a book on how can you elicit dream support for your life.
6 years, right? It took you 6 years to write the book?
Yeah, even a little more. It's probably 8 years and then another year and a half to shepherd it through the publishing industry.
Why 6 years or 8 years, right? Or is it just that you wanted to get the material right? Was it just trying to figure out how you logistically wanted to place the material in the book?
Yeah, it was initially I learned that you could ask your dream a question. And I didn't want to be bothered by anyone else that had figured this out as well, or any other tradition. So the first year or year and a half, I really spent together with my sister in just playing and experimenting. Could you, what questions could you ask? Would the dream know about the future? Can the dream know about someplace else? Could you ask could you ask specific dream characters a question? Which dreams work and which dreams don't work. So I spent quite a lot of time on figuring out what works and didn't work. Then I started doing workshops in which I just tried to teach people this and figure out what is the best way to lay it out and see what kind of questions come back. And then there was another 2 years further. Then I had the structure of the book. I would really study each chapter in depth and could read as much as possible about it, and started traveling to cultures that had practiced this kind of technique. And then 6, 7, 8 years later, the book did find its final version.
What was your first question that you asked? What was the first question that actually worked?
Oh, this is such a great question. I don't know anymore. I love it though. It came really about that I was also experimenting with lucid dreaming. So dreams in which you know that you are dreaming. And when you are in a lucid dream, when you're in the dream, know that you're dreaming, you can yell out, is there anyone with a message for me? Or you could ask the dream character, who are you? What brings you here? Or you can ask for an experience. I once yelled out, I would like to experience unconditional love. And then I was zapped into this state of unconditional love. And it was mind-blowing. But I'm like most other people, are not super easily lucid in the dream. And then I thought, come, let's see if I can ask the dream before I go to bed these questions to see if it will give me an answer. And I don't know anymore what the beginning dreams questions were. most of them initially had to do were very practical about my life.
Lucid dreaming. Are there techniques in the, I don't recall if there's techniques in the book, but how do you become lucid more often in dreams?
By practicing in day-to-day life and asking yourself, is this a dream? And how would you know that this is not a dream? Now, for example, if I can push my finger through my hand, it would be a dream. So this is not a dream. But what I need to do is really, because once you're in the dream, you usually don't know it's a dream. You take that environment for real. And it's also so real that your mind just takes it for real and doesn't question it. So you have to build in that almost that question in day-to-day life. Is this a dream? So every time maybe you step through a door, you ask, is this a dream? And then do a test. Can I fly? No. Okay, this is reality. And but you have also to postpone your reflex by saying, no, this is not a dream. Because then you will also do that in the dream. And oh no, this is not a dream. And then you were almost lucid, but not completely. So is this a dream? Test. No. Then go on. And if you do that often, then you're sooner or later you will get lucid in your dream.
What's it feel like to be lucid in a dream? That's got to be pretty incredible.
It's incredible. It's most people see it almost as one of their life-changing experiences. And because once you're in a dream, you just marvel at how real the dream is. You know this is your dream, but the floor you walk on feels real. The wall of stone feels like real stone. It's incredible to be in an environment that you know that your mind has created that feels completely real. Mm-hmm. You would eat a cake and that would taste real. And that is, that's a mind-blowing just observation and experience. And then the things you can do. It's whatever you want. Have fun, meet beautiful people, drive a Ferrari, or really use it for personal growth or explore the nature of reality. And in the latter things, you can learn how is the dream reality constructed. And this reality has similar ways that it is constructed, and then you can learn to optimize your life here or in the dream state.
Is it cause and effect with that? Like, does the dream state affect like reality right now, like waking reality?
Well, my assumption is that the dream is a state of consciousnness that you sink into at night. And when you wake up, that state of consciousness doesn't disappear, but goes a bit under the surface. And I think when we daydream or fantasize, those are slight. It's a slight increase of the dream consciousness. And once we dream, we just sink back into it. So I think these two realities coexist, and they do influence each other.
Have you ever had an out of body?
Yeah, once.
Was it very similar to lucid dreaming?
No, it is different. It's a different reality, but the reality is I don't know if you've ever had an out of body experience. And but the reality is it looks very much like this reality, an out of body experience, because you come out of your body, but the door might not be in the same place as it is in this reality. So it is slightly different, but the same things as how a dream world works, that's also how the out of body reality works. So you can fly, your mind, if you can decide how you will fly. If you believe that you can step through the wall, you can step through the wall. If you don't believe it, you bounce off. So your belief system creates your reality and what you can do. That's
kind of like similar to the waking state too, right?
It's very similar. And that is so interesting of lucid dreaming, that you can learn these principles, how that reality is created, through expectation and intention and belief. And if you see how that works there, in a far more dense form, your expectation functions in the same way in this reality, and how expectation overrides, for example, willpower. I can give an example. I was once in a dream, and I became lucid, and I stood in front of an house, and I put my hand against the stone wall, and I knew that because it's a dream, I can just put my hand through the wall, and I did that, and I could feel just the stone around my hand go in, and the stone just go around my arm. Then I thought, what if I don't want this wall to give in, that it gets stuck? And I tried, and I took my hand out, but I could very easily take my hand out. And that was very insightful, because what it showed me is what I wanted. I didn't want it to happen, but because my expectation, knowing it's in a dream, I expected it to happen. So my expectation overrides my willpower. And if you take that same concept to this reality, let's say I feel insecure, or I feel like people don't like me. I can want that to be different, but just that me wanting it will not override the expectation. If I go to the supermarket and I still expect that the person doesn't like me at the checkout counter, I will act in a way that actually triggers the outside world to reflect back very often my own expectation. And so you learn, especially if you want to be a psychologist, that your willpower is less important than your expectation. And then you need to figure out, how can I shift my expectation slowly from people don't like me to people think neutrally about me, till, oh, when I meet this person at the checkout counter, she will enjoy that I'm there. And you can work on that, and you will see that your expectation creates partly, it's not one-on-one, but partly creates your reality around you, because the way you expect reality to be. And the lucid dream is such a great place to learn those mental creations, and because they happen so fast, and then you can learn it in this far more dense reality, how they function, and how to do it how to work with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. My only question, my follow-up to that is, since this is, I understand this is a dense reality. I've never been lucid. I've never been out of body. So like, I don't know how quickly you can manipulate those other realities. I assume because this is a dense reality, that I've been told that we're in a dense reality, it just takes longer for us to manipulate that, right?
Yeah.
But can we manipulate it?
We can by changing our expectation, or by changing our beliefs, or putting our will in place, or how we put an intention out, and those things, they co-create reality.
Do you need all of those, or do you just need one? Are they all the same thing?
No, they're different mechanisms, and what you also start seeing in lucid dreaming, that there is a mystery force that also does something. So it's not purely your own mind. It is something else co-creates with you the reality you're in, and that mystery force has the ability to override what you do. But by having a certain expectation and a certain intent, you can change the reality of the dream. And you can also change this reality by aligning in a more proper way with what would work for you. So you want to actually really align your expectations with what your soul wants, because then you're best off.
I mean, do you think this reality is just a dream anyway?
It is, now I distinguish it really from a dream reality, but I think it is one of the realities that exists, and that has features that are common to a dream. But when people think this is the only reality, then you get stuck and this is just one reality. But what we know, and everyone knows from who goes back into their own dream, knows that in the dream, I'm in a place where I have an experience. So the dream is really a world you find yourself in. And it's wherever you place it, it's a dream reality. And so there are these different realities that are interconnected, that coexist. And this world is a very important world, of course, because we're here. And has features like dream reality or out of body experience, how it is created.
Yeah, I would say this is probably the most important reality, right? Because we spend the majority of our time here. How many realities do you think there is?
Yeah, I don't know, but but let's say that in a certain way we all live in our own world. We just have a certain shared reality. So maybe there are, I don't know, are there 8 billion people?
7 billion, 8 billion people? Like there's 8 billion realities.
8 billion realities to start with, and then everyone has a dream reality, which is partly their own dream, but there are also layers in the dream where we share a common consciousness, just like we're a wave on the ocean. Mm-hmm. We're our unique wave, but we also share the ocean as as the ground of our being. And in dreams, that's also, and in this reality, that also seems to be the case. So many billions of realities, probably.
All subjective, right? I mean, dreams are subjective, right?
Yeah.
Like they're very subjective to the perceiver of that.
Yeah.
And some people, I know I have, and people listening to this, we can't make sense of our dreams usually, especially spontaneous dreams. Maybe we just don't have that intent. Maybe we don't have that focus, or we don't have that intention to understand them. But you believe that they are, I mean, you call it the dream when you talk to it, right? Like you call it the dream. And when you ask it to show you answers to some of your life's questions, you do think that the dream can show us honest answers and solutions for problems that we may be experiencing in our lives.
Yes, that is my experience, and with many people that I've worked with. And actually, if you go back in history, you see that almost any indigenous culture has that experience. The idea comes back in Islam, in Hinduism, Buddhism. People all over the world in all times have noticed that there is something in the dream that is interested in helping and educating us in us becoming ourselves. And we can, it sometimes gives intuitions or helpful dreams. But if we proactively turn towards it, we can get more support for this kind of rather difficult life journey that we all have.
Yeah. What do you think that force is?
I have noticed that I'm best off if I just don't know it. So I call it the mystery. I know that there are, so it appears in certain ways sometime, but yeah, I call it the mystery force. But once I asked in the dream, mystery force, what would you want me to know for myself and the readers of my book on asking you for guidance? What do you would like us to know about you? And in a short summary, it showed that it was a very wise and compassionate new CEO of a company, and it was a woman, a female CEO, who would let the person who worked at the company either figure it out on their own, and that would be totally fine. But if you wanted to help and support, she would be delighted and would help you with this infinite compassion and wisdom as well.
Does she answer emails? Does
I,
she
I,
respond quickly?
I think this dream incubation or dream guidance is a form of our email to her. And what my explorations noticed is that if we phrase it in the right way and we treat that relationship in the right way, she will help us.
You just have to ask the right questions, right?
You need to ask the right questions and you need to formulate the question in the right way. There's really a vital element. And questions that are really helpful are questions that are relevant to your life. So if you ask a question as, what time did the garbage man come today? She might think, yeah, that's not really interesting for you. Or if I would just say, to which school should I go to study? But I hadn't really done any research. She might not yet respond. But if I would have looked at multiple schools I wanted to go to, and then don't know and say, gosh, Sol, what would be best for me and serving people in the world? Then she'll answer the email.
Do you find like people that are experiencing commonalities as far as like life experiences have similarities in their dreams?
Yeah. And there are certain dream themes that come back to people. For example, people that can get to the steering wheel in the car and they are a bit out of control in their life. And very often a theme like that shows up. Or a person is back in high school and need to do a test. And they like, oh my gosh, I don't know what, I didn't study for it. They feel unprepared, they get anxious. And there's in a moment in their life when they feel, of course, they're tested or they need to perform and feel unprepared. And then a dream seems to have similar themes by which it communicates where we are in our life.
What's a good question? Like, I know they're open-ended, right? But let's say we're making transitions, we are making a move from one career to another. Like, what is a great question for that type of answer?
Yeah, well, great questions are always questions that are alive in us. So if you would be in a transition in your life, you would of course have on your mind, is the direction that I go in the right direction? Am I what this next element is in my life? Am I such a person? And questions could be as, now, what does it look like for me to start this type of profession or career? Or what does it look like for me to move to this city? But open questions, not should I do this? That like in that dream that I said, the compassionate, wise CEO will let you figure it out on your own timeline. No hurry. So she cannot say, yeah, you should do this. No, that's up to you. But if you want to know what does it look like to become a painter, then she will show you what that route in your life might look like.
Will she show you like in metaphors, or will she show you like an actual clip of that reality?
It could be both. Very often, what I suggest that people look at is look at the experience in the dream. So instead of asking so much, what does this mean? Ask the question, what is happening, or what is the experience? So if I would ask the question, what does it look like for me to become an artist? And I dream about flowers coming out of the ground, or I see a beautiful sunrise, then that would be a positive experience. Or if I see a car crash or a house collapsing, I would be like, that's I'm not going that direction.
Let's not do that.
Yeah.
What about nightmares?
Yeah. Nightmares are anxiety dreams. So a nightmare comes when we either have too little or too much fear. And too little is very infrequent, but it happens when we're maybe too lazy and we haven't done anything for a while, and a nightmare comes in to really shake us up. That can happen. Or we dream about, I'm running towards my class, I need to do a test, I feel unprepared, I can't find it, I don't know where the class is. And then the dream shows, hey, you're are stressing a lot, and in your stress response, you're actually even speeding up. You're need to slow down a little bit, maybe ask someone where's the class, or remember something. It just comes as a nightmare is often a warning signal, but not so much a warning signal like, hey, bad person, but more the burglar who tries to climb into your house is probably an aspect of you that wants to join you in your life, but you don't really like it. So you try to keep it out. And the more you try to repress your own parts of your own self, the darker they get in order to get back to you. And then you get a burglar who climbs in. Especially females seem to have more burglar dreams than males, but the idea is more or less the same.
Spoken like a true Jungian.
That's right.
For women, right? Like, what aspect is that most commonly portrayed in the burglar?
Well, the Jung would say something to the extent of their animus, which is a part of their male, some male characteristic. But you would, it might be different for everyone. For some person, it might be that they could use a little bit more relaxation in their life, and that aspect of them is being repressed. Another person need to have a little bit more bravery or courage, and that can come up as some burglar that tries to climb in. And the way to work with these dreams is, first of all, write them down, and then well, if you would use the dream guidance to jump in, you could use dream guidance and say, burglar, do you have something to tell me? And you write it down, go to bed, and see what the burglar tells you the next night in your dream. And then you would have a dream in which it will show who he is or what it wants to do. So that's one way to work with it. But the other way is just draw the burglar and bring in that energy a little bit. Maybe talk to it and just see if you get some thoughts back or write back to yourself. You will very often have surprising answers.
What's the history behind dream incubation? I feel like in your book you talk about it, and you actually go on like a trip and actually do a dream incubation at a like sacred site. This has been going on for many years, correct?
Yeah, this one famous place. There are famous dream temples in Greece and Turkey. It was in which they went to visit the god Asclepius to get a dream, and that was between 500 before Christ till 500 after Christ. Was a flourishing common practice. Even Plato and Socrates were aware of this and would engage in this practice. So a lot of our medical health is rooted in those Greek traditions, but has just grown into one way, the medical profession, and the dreams have been relegated to the side. But dreams have always been part of health and healing. And I visited those temples and just saw how large they were, and to my own surprise, you could have hundreds of people could stay at the night there and just would prepare for the dream evening to get a dream for very often physical healing, but not limited to. But very often people would visit the temple for physical problems.
I can only imagine the energy that you felt there.
Yeah, it was for myself also remarkable. I hadn't expected that the place would be so vibrant with energy, but it was also located on the hill, looking over the Mediterranean Sea, the cypress trees, and you think, gosh, the aesthetics of a place does do something to one's own sense of healing and soul and creativity.
And you're like, it's like you're almost a part of history almost, because you're standing in the same place that these people have stood, thousands of years before you, doing the same ritual that you're doing. I mean, you got to feel a part of a huge network there.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Talk about the process for the incubation. Like, what are the steps that you have to go through to not, experience a dream, and how it answers you?
First of all, very important is that you ask what I call a live question, something that is really relevant to you. And if they've done studies at Harvard on dream incubation, where they showed that people that asked a question of medical nature, of something that is emotionally relevant to them, would have an answer. If you would ask a question that is too conceptual or too theoretical, the dream would not be so interested in helping. So we want to ask something that we've pondered on, that we feel that we've reached the end of our own thinking, and then we can ask. And I remember this person who recently said, I'm just back in the dating life and I want to find a great partner. And then he said, well, maybe what I really want to know is what is my biggest obstacle that I face in dating? And he made that his question. And what was so good about the question is that it was very simple. It is what is my biggest obstacle, not is what are my obstacles, because then you would see many obstacles. But he really said, hey, my biggest obstacle in dating. And then he engaged in what I call a ritual. And a ritual is really a time in which you spend time to let the other world know, or the compassionate CEO, let the CEO know, hey, I'm serious about this. I would love to have some answer. And you build that relationship with the compassionate, wise friend. And maybe you do, this person made a heart to show his heartfelt intention and his desire to be loved and love, and spent some time on it, wrote down the question, went to bed, had a dream. When he woke up, he wrote down the following dream. He said, in the dream, I'm driving in a car and there's a car in front of me. And then to the right, I see a mountain lion. When I get closer, I see that it's a tiger. I get really scared and I start backing up and driving back. And then he asked the question, what is happening? And so what is happening is he's driving, he's moving through life. He sees something he's really scared for, tiger. And when he's really scared, what he does is he backs out. And he thought, now I read this against my question. What's my biggest obstacle? My biggest obstacle is when I get really scared, my reflex is I'm gone. I back out. So then he can start thinking, where in my life, when I date, do I feel this fear? Is that when I meet a beautiful person, which naturally invokes a bit of anxiety, or when there's intimacy that becomes frightening? So we can look at those things and try to change that. So that is, in a nutshell, the 5 steps. Identify a question, write down the question in a great way, do a ritual, spend some time in making something beautiful for the dream, sleep and dream, and then write it down, step 5, and follow up. And that is how it works.
So like we said earlier, thousands of years of different cultures studying dreams, using dreams to interpret their behaviors or their traumas. with the future events. How did you pull? I mean, there's 5 steps. Did you pull those 5 steps from all those cultures? How did you build your model?
Yeah, a combination between myself, my clients, and then studying these traditions. Because what I saw in these traditions is very often they had a fixed recipe. So some tradition would say, burn this herb, take this drink, lay on your side. And then the next tradition would have make a fire, don't drink, find some stone. And what I saw in these for example in these rituals, that it was not so much which ritual you did, but that you did a ritual that was your ritual and that was heartfelt. And so I looked at these steps they went through, and that distillated in this process. And then I tested it, and I started noticing, oh yeah, ritual really important, finding the right question really important, follow up on the dream, even if you don't understand the dream, write it down, because there's probably some information from a source that you don't get yet, but that is helpful. Be radical, and to read it against the dream, and that that led to the recipe that I created in the book.
Talk about anchor points too in the book. What are those?
You mean in when there's a physical in a physical embodied question?
Yes.
Yeah. So there are different ways that you can ask the dream a question. I focus in the book mainly on writing down the question, but there's also the ability to just make a drawing. I write somewhere about this woman that asks a question about her marriage, and she thinks back at the picture that they took at the day of the marriage, where she and her husband's hands are together, and you see the rings, and she put a question mark in her mind on that image. And the anchor points are, we can also, let's say I would have this anxiety in my stomach. Then I could say, dream, I don't know where this anxiety comes from. So I could say, what is this anxiety? But I could also feel in my heart that I really want to know this. And then I meditate for a minute and feel my heart and my genuine intention. Then I slow down and I feel further into it. And then I start sensing maybe the temperature of my heart and the temperature of the feeling there. And then I anchor it in my heart. So I make it, the feeling is a bit soft, and it is fluid, but not like water, but a little bit more dense than that. And it is warm, and I sense it in my heart. And then I have one anchor point, and then I could feel maybe anxiety in my stomach. And I would just ask, what is my feeling? What is the sensation? And where do I feel it? So I feel anxiety, like, ooh. And oh, it's a little cold, this anxiety. And it is tight, and it feels like a stripe, like a cylinder in my stomach. And then I just sit with that and feel it and anchor it. And then I can feel both my heart with the sense for the intention and my stomach. And I meditate on that for maybe 1-2 minutes, and back in bed again for 1-2 minutes. And I then just bring that to the dream and see how the dream responds to the feeling state. And then I get a response to the anxiety. But it also brings in the warmth of the heart, which in itself already will penetrate the anxiety that I experience. It's almost like you're a vessel, and you would throw in the fluid of the anxiety, you throw in a little bit of fluid of the heart, and that in itself already starts transforming. And something will happen to both substances. And that is also how you can create change.
That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Do you teach this method in your modality as far as like with your clients?
Yeah, and with my clients, I work very often with parts of the session in an embodied place.
Embodied imagination, is that what that is?
Right. That's it. Yes. Yeah.
It's pretty. I mean, how important is the imagination, right? Like we keep writing it off as, oh, it's just the imagination, but I mean, it's used in so many different cultures, just for what you're talking about with therapy, with trauma. I mean, how important is the imagination?
Yeah. For everything, I think that Carl Jung has this saying: "There's nothing in this world that wasn't first in the fantasy of the artist or the creator." So whether it's the painting or the chair or the car, it all comes out of the fantasy or imagination of a person.
Carl Jung also talked about, and I should probably read more of his work. I read a book on the archetypes, and I always get sidetracked on like rabbit holes, of all the great spiritual teachers and psychologists. But he talks about, and I always mispronounce this, but it's the daemon. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, it's the daimon.
Daimon. I always say daemon. Daimon.
Yeah.
What exactly is that?
It's the Greek name for for what we would probably these days call a spirit guide. So they imagine that people would have a muse or a daimon, and the daimon would be a representation of our talent, but at the same time would also be a guide that tries to keep us on our path and is a kind of a taskmaster. So a person might have a daimon that can play soccer or can cook and can interview or can do accounting or can do therapy or anything in the world. We would have a daimon or multiple daimons. And the old idea is we all come into the world with one or multiple daimons. So everyone has a gift to give to community. And we are all coming actually into the world gifted. And our goal or aim in this world is to deliver our gift to the people around us. And when everyone does that, you would create a really beautiful mosaic of contributions, and the world would function as a nice tapestry. But the good news is we all have a daimon.
Yeah, I mean that's great news, right?
Yeah.
But do we ever pursue that? That's the question, right? Like, I don't know about you, but if I'm not pursuing that daimon, I feel empty. I feel more anxious.
Right. And that might actually even be both the absence of the daimon will fill you, make you feel empty. It's a great observation. But also, if you ignore it, it will manifest as anxiety or depression or a physical symptom, as a way to get you back on track. And so when related to well, it gives a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning, and a feeling of contributing to the world. And when ignored, it would be a troublemaker. Mm-hmm. It would be, these days we might say, that might cause anxiety or depression or whatever psychological disorder we have. And through the lens of the daimon, it would not even be a disorder. It would be actually like depression would be considered an order, a function, and the function is to slow you down. So that instead of that you in full energy run off your path, maybe if you're depressed, you're doing the wrong thing in life. Maybe you're with the wrong person or at the wrong job. You shouldn't be energized. You shouldn't medicate that so that you numb yourself. You should try to figure out, how do I get back in a place where I am in the flow? Because that would be the key feature of being with the diamond, is that you feel that you're on a regular basis in a flow state.
Flow states. What has been the biggest insight from your dream incubation? Like, what is the biggest, maybe, I don't know, insight as far as personal work or a great work idea that you've had?
Well, there are really big or small things. I sometimes like I changed my diet because of the dream incubation.
Does that give you a better connection to that part of ourselves that is connected to the mystery?
Yes, yes. And I think that sometimes the mystery answers, maybe sometimes your diamond answers you. And it helps with little and bigger things in life. And the nice thing, it's there. We all dream actually several hours a night. And by just paying attention to it and being respectful to it, and also being playful, don't make it overly serious. We can, it's like surfing. You can't be too serious with it, but it requires focus and attention, and then you can have, you can almost become one with the wave, and that is what can happen if you really align with the dreaming consciousness. You get carried by something that's larger than you, but you interact with it. It's a dance. It's a cooperation.
Well, you've had great insight. You were able to receive an answer and create your platform, young platform, right?
Yes, I had, but that was actually a spontaneous dream in which I saw the house of Carl Jung from the sky. I was floating probably 100 yards above the lake of Zurich, and I see Carl Jung's house. And there's a yard and a dock, and then he's built a square concrete platform in the water. And then he's putting some beams on it and rearranging them. And he sits in a chair and he starts reading. And I look at that, and the whole scene comes to a standstill. And then Jung and the platform disappear. And a voice behind me says, "Now you have to draw it, identical to how it was." And I think, I can draw. I find myself with a pencil in my hand and make a line. It's more straight than I thought I could draw. And I woke up. And I took that dream as a suggestion to build a platform for Jungian psychology, or like Jung, psychologies that take into account that there is another world, an unconscious, or what indigenous cultures call the other world, or the world of dream. And I started that, and that has been a vocational dream that first built a nonprofit in Utah, and later built a Jung platform that, to my own surprise, is doing really well.
What can people expect to find on the website?
Great introductory programs for the general audience on Jungian topics. For example, Jung has a lot of things that people probably well know, but maybe not for sure that it came from Jung, like the shadow. Shadow is that part of ourselves that we repress or don't want to see, but often contains value. And how do you connect with your shadow, or synchronicity, or archetypes, or program on a Jungian perspective on the tarot, or how to work with your dreams. And also more general programs like a way of how to deal with codependence or narcissism, more seen through a tradition like we are talking about today, a bit more the sense of the depth tradition. It's not just how do I think that influence the world, but there are certain other dynamics in our psyche that drive our behavior. And how do we figure it out? And how do we live with the diamond or live with our talent and sense of purpose?
It's fascinating. I've always been fascinated with his work. Remind me, what was his theories on coincidences?
Yeah, that is that theory of synchronicity. And that is that notion that he calls it meaningful coincidences. So maybe we all have had it. You open a book just on the right page, or less meaningful, but you think about a person and up the phone rings and there they are. It's not causal. It's not because I think about that person, the phone rings, but I think about it and the phone rings. So you have two independent phenomena that coexist and that are related by meaning. And that is his theory of synchronicity. And what you see is that when you're on your path or significantly off your path, you start having more synchronistic events happening. So maybe you were wondering, is this the right direction? And then the next day, you speak someone that is doing that job and tells you, hey, this is, it tells you how great that job is, or something that in a meaningful way makes sense. I don't know if anything comes to your mind that you had a synchronistic event.
Oh man, where do I start? Numbers really, like
Yeah.
I see a lot of 444s, and what has it been lately?
And does it mean anything to you when you see the 444?
Well, like it then spark curiosity, right? And then you, like, I'm very deep into like philosophy as far as like angel numbers. And then I'll read some of what it's on the web, and what generally people come back with, the commonality anyway, is that you're supported by your guides or your angels or source, and that you're on your path. I see that quite a bit. And then it's funny how it'll change, the numbers will change, and then I'll start seeing another set of numbers, and it'll be everywhere, right? Like 40, it go from 444 to 44. And then sometimes I'll see 999, or I'll see 8866. It's just comes up all the time. Like I drive a lot, so it's a lot of the time it's on license plates, or it's on like advertisements for phone numbers. I see a lot of 111, 4 ones, 1111, and I'll see recently, and don't laugh, I've seen a lot of rabbits. It's pretty insane. I go for runs in the morning, and
what do rabbits signify for you?
I don't know. I don't know. I hate to say it, but like, a guy told me one time to be like Neo and follow the white rabbit. And ever since he said that, I've seen white rabbits.
That's curious, huh?
It is. It makes me so curious. It's like, what is it? What does it mean? I would want, like, what would Jung say?
Well, I would be very interested in the fact that you start seeing rabbits and try to figure out. He has multiple ways that he looks at it. One, he would probably look at what do rabbits signify in mythologies and cultures. So is there an American, North American tradition? What kind of spirit animal would it be, and what qualities? So he would look at it in that way. I would also ask you, what are your personal associations to a rabbit? And then you come up with Neo and follow the white rabbit. What did that indicate in that movie, The White Rabbit? And it feels also a bit like white, that there's something of follow your own inner animal instinct that will lead you somewhere, and it knows better than you. But you have to be trusting and a little bit weird to follow a white rabbit. But it will bring you where you need to be.
Sure. Have you've seen The Matrix, right? Like, I don't know
Yes,
if you
yes.
remember that part where,
No.
it's where Neo is like in his apartment and he's just typing on his laptop, and I guess I don't know what he's doing. I can't remember exactly, like coding or something. I don't know. He's speaking with the Matrix or whatever that is. And
Hmm.
it says follow the white rabbit. And he's like, what are you talking about? And then people come to his door and there's this lady with a tattoo of a white rabbit and they're going to some place. And I think that's where he meets, um, what's his face? The guy, I can't remember his name. The guy with the pill, the red,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
red or the blue or whatever. I think that's where he meets him or someone. So basically to me, that's, trusting the universe when when they give you messages like that, follow the white rabbit, then you follow the white rabbit and it takes you to the next thing that
Yeah.
leads you to the next thing, and then next thing you know, you're outside of the matrix. So
Yeah. So for you too, follow your instincts, follow what you believe to be the right thing to do. And
sure.
if it's the old idea is if there's no path, then it's probably your path. If there's already a path, then it's someone else's path. It's not your path. So your path is unique, and your animal instinct, your animal nature knows how to lead you, but you have to trust it. And that's in the beginning it's always difficult, but in the beginning it's a little bit more difficult. And if you have once or twice, which you probably have, the experience, hey, I followed this and it actually worked out.
Hmm.
And but
Hmm.
it sounds like you're on an exciting journey to follow the white rabbit.
We'll I'll let you know. I'll definitely keep you in the loop for sure.
Yeah, please
Where
do.
where can people find you? Where can they connect with your work?
You can find dream guidance on my book online on Amazon and all the big distribution channels. And my name is Machiel Klerk. And maybe you can put it in your notes, but it's Machielklerk. And if you do Machiel and Dream Guidance, you will get to my website and you can see the services I do as dream work for individuals and companies and therapy and speak on these topics. And yeah, and if people are interested in the book, Book Depository is a great place if you live somewhere around the world where there's by chance not Amazon or Barnes and Nobles. Then Book Depository will ship it to you for free. Of course, you have to buy the book, but the shipping is for free. And I believe that every Barnes and Nobles in the US has at least 1 to 5 copies in their store.
Hmm.
So, and then
Correct.
people can learn to ask their dreams for support and guidance in an effective 5-step technique.
Hmm. Awesome. So your name is Dutch, right?
Yeah.
What
Yes.
did what do people in America most commonly call you? Because I know I can bear, and I apologize beforehand. We can't do the tongue roll.
That is right. Well, my name, it's a Dutch name, is Machiel, and so we have the sound that you don't have.
Yes.
But you have sounds that we don't have that I struggle with.
Like what? What's that?
Well, you say you have think, so we don't have a word where you put your tongue between your teeth.
Really?
Yeah, so normally I would say you think because we don't have it, but I still have to learn think, and I still make that mistake pretty frequent. Or you say um, launch, and you drop your jaw a little bit. Launch.
Hmm.
We don't have that. We don't have a sound like launch.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. So those
Wow.
are little things that uh, we Dutch struggle with in English or American English.
Sure. Because my first instinct was to say Michael or Machiel, you know.
Most people say Machiel, and I respond to anything that comes somewhat in the direction. There's so many Michaels, so I just let people say Machiel or Machiel, or I'm fine. I understand.
Call me what you want, just call me.
I'm already happy someone calls me.
I could talk to you all night, man. I thank you so much for taking the time.
It's such a pleasure to be with you, and to and I can feel the genuine interest in your questions and your own relationship with the depths of your own being, which makes it so enjoyable to sit in this space with you.